All right, let's have more fun here with part number 5.5, parametric equations. So in the textbook, it just says, oh, just put some three parametric equations in there. But here I'm going to be specific about which parametric equations we're going to use and actually do four instead of just three. So let's start a new part. And one of the things we want to first look at is what the units are. So you can see here it says units of inches and make sure it's fully constrained. So standard English inches, create. Let's go ahead and draw on the XY plane. So 2D sketch. And let's go rapidly through this part here. Let's draw a circle here and then a square there, or vice versa. So we'll start with a rectangle. Let's make it a center rectangle. Let's see which one of those would be it. I guess they call that a 2-point rectangle. I call it a center one because you have some symmetry, locks down some of the uncertainty of things. And then we can put in our dimensions right away. This one right here is going to be 2 times 2, because that's 4 units, right? Now let's see if that's going to be, that's probably going to be our known, uh, our Y value. And then the W, well, it looks like actually the U is going to be the known. Okay, so we'll have to remember that one a little bit later. Okay, let's just go ahead and proceed forward with this one here and zoom back to get back to where we can see the whole thing. Let's go ahead and make these 2 dimensions equal to each other to make sure this is a square. So this one needs to be equal to that one. We have a fully constrained part. Circle in the middle. And hopefully that only requires 1 dimension, and that would be just the radius. If I locked it into the center properly, that is. And the radius on this is going to be 3 units. Looks good so far. Time to extrude. We're going to extrude this a distance of 1 inch. At least I think it's time to extrude, right? Looks like it. And so we don't want the middle to be extruded. We want this area, and we're just going to do 1 inch. So that looks really good. We could do that midpoint extrude, but this looks like it's good enough here. Let's draw these different shapes on the surface. So are we to assume that this is going right through the middle? I think that's a good assumption. It's 2 and 2. It doesn't really say what these distances are. So it's going to be our assumption that, yeah, that this hole goes right through the center. If they don't specify, you have to make those kinds of assumptions. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to complete the part. So drawing a rectangle going from here, oops, maybe not that kind. How about a point-to-point, 2-point rectangle here to here? And I like how it let me kind of lock into that midpoint because that's good. Because the next thing we want to do is just maybe make a half circle, or you can make the whole circle. We'll try it this way. Going like that, locking out to the edge, get a fully defined part, then trim off the parts that we don't need, like that. Click and drag over. And so now you can see that that became not fully defined because I did that. That can happen sometimes, and we want to look at the reason why it's not that it's not fully defined. I think if you just move it around, you can tell that, oh, they're no longer parallel, tangent to each other. So we can force this one and this one right here. Let's see, that one and that one to be tangent. And we also want to do this one and this one to be tangent as well. And I think the reason why it's fully constrained is that we still have this in the middle, which is a good thing. We finally make our circle. It's going to be our hole all the way through, at least all the way through to the middle here. It doesn't look like it goes through the other side. So that looks to be a half on the radius. 0.5 looks good. So we need to do 2 things. One of them is to extrude. Yeah, maybe I did this a little bit out of order. I don't think we can do this. You know, we could probably try the same thing here. Let's try to do extrude here. And we need to extrude out here 0.75. And while we're here, we're going to try something else. And I haven't really tried this before. And that is to go ahead and say, let's do the cut at the same time by hitting a plus sign here and clicking right in there and say, I want that to be a cut. Now you only want it to go up to the next surface, so you can say up to next. We don't want to say through all, just up to the next thing. And it looks like it's, well, it thinks that's the surface, which I guess is okay. Yeah, I guess that's all right. Let's just click OK and make sure it looks good. Kind of makes me want to try to find some way to mirror that across there, but that might just be too much effort to kind of think about how to mirror that because it's really a mirror along a diagonal, and we're not going to bother that. It's trying to worry about that. Instead, what we're going to do is just draw the shape on the top. Okay, now we got to be careful about how to do this. So we're going to right click and we're going to say new sketch. We want to go for the midpoint of this line all the way out here. So it looks a little bit odd that we're calling that the midpoint because that's the midpoint of the circle. But we want to go all the way out here because we're going all the way out to the edge like that. Okay, and then we could try something different this time, and that would be to put an arc here, center point arc, hover over the middle, click here, go all the way around back over to there, fully defined. I wonder if I can turn only that one into a hidden line. Look at that. And then that way it doesn't become part of the extrude. And then just making quicker work of this time, the second time around. So 0.5, yeah, 0.5 on that one. You still got a fully defined part. And we'll do our trick again, where we're going to do two things at once. We're going to extrude this outer part a distance of 0.75. And then I forgot to do the second one. Now, I wonder if it'll let me do it at this point. Probably not. Let's try. Okay. So we're going to try to say, how about that circle there? And can we extrude cut that? Let's see. No, I don't think it's to that point right there. Could be wrong. Here's the sketch. Let's go back to this extrude instead. So what is it saying here? No valley closed loops. So yeah, okay. So I think it got confused about what I did here. So I'm just going to try to get out of this if I can some way and hit Control Z, get back to my sketch. There we go. Let's try that again. When all this fails, just hit Control Z a couple times. That way we can do two things. One of them is extrude, and then we hit the plus sign here. We're going to do a cut for that one. Now you can see it's trying to do an extrude, which is okay. We just say do a cut. And you can even say, well, is it through most of it? Sure. You can even pull it like an arbitrary amount. It doesn't really matter here, as you can see. But just for like completeness, we can just say through next. That way it has a definite end to it. We don't have to dimension that. And that is the completed part. Looks great. Now we need to add our parametric equations. So we can see that maybe U is something that we need to define first of all. We want to make sure that we start there, and then once we get Y, we're going to put it up in here. All right, so the U is going to be this distance right here. So let's find the diameter of that one. We can edit this last sketch. And we can see that that one right there is the one we're looking for. It's D9. So let's remember D9 as we finish that back up again. That is our U value. And then we're going to go over to X, which is way down here. I'm not even sure we have that one, but let's just go see if we do. Oh, yeah. Look at that. I don't think we're going to get both of these because I said that they're equal to each other. But we can undo that. It's okay. All right. So we want to go back to the initial sketch, which is this one here. Edit this one. That's not the initial sketch. Where's my initial sketch at? This one right here. Where is that initial sketch at? This one? Oh, there's my sketch down here. Okay. Edit this initial one. And because I made these two equal to each other, they're not going to be able to be kept separate. So, let's see. I can see why this is an issue here, but let's push through it here. Maybe we can focus on this Z one first, and we'll come back to these other three. Yeah, okay, so this is the distance right here. Let's see what we got. Is 2 times U. And we said it was D9. So what we can do on this one is look at the first extrude that we did. And that's going to be this one right here. And we can say edit sketch right here, or edit feature. That's really the one we want. And what we want to do for this one, and this may not even work now that I think about it, D, I think we said D9, and then whatever that one is right there. You can see how we might get a circular reference on this one. But let's move forward here just a little bit more before we say that there's a problem with this. We said Z needs to be 2 times U. All right, so then times 2. Let's see if this leads to a circular reference. Looks like it's okay. So to test it, what we can do is come back over here to this radius right here, edit this right here, edit the sketch, and then change this one right here to 0.75. And what we want to do is see if the other thing changed. Yeah, it's got that cyclical dependency there. So probably need to change this up a little bit. So I can see why that would be a problem, because this one relied on that first thing that we did. Okay. Now, as you can see, I formatted the problem so that it's doable, because what we're getting was cyclical references because of one thing depending on the other, in a cycle kind of way. Now let's make sure that I don't have any parametric equations before I go in here and try to redo this. So again, we can go to tools or manage. There we go. Let's just kind of look for anything that has that. And so we have D2. Let's see, normal value. Let's see, I can't even remember what that was to begin with. So I think I'm just going to assume that that was the 0.5 distance. So we'll put that back in there. And let's just see if that's going to work. Nope, that was not it. All right, so let's just start with figuring out what this big size was right here. So if we go back to the sketch, edit like this, and this one right here is D0. So everything is going to depend upon that, as you can see here. So let's go to the diameter right here and say that's going to be D0 times 0.75, basically 3/4 of it. And we'll make sure, cap locks off here, that it's still going to give us 3, but making it parametric. All right, let's not forget that this one right here is D0 as we're moving forward. So we're going to click OK. And it already changed those other two because of mistakes I made. But let's go in there and just change those equations, and I think we'll be fine. So this one that's D out here, that's the extrusion depth of this one. So we're going to say edit feature, and I think it should have been a width of 1 to begin with. But what we really want it to be now is D should be equal to the distance A, which is D0, divided by 4. And let's see if that brings back normality to it. Sure it does. All right, and so we got A and B done, and D. Let's go ahead and put these two hole sizes in. They're basically going to be 1/8 of D0. So let's edit the sketch that's corresponding to each one of these. There's one. Edit the sketch right there. That needs to be D0 divided by 8. I'm going to copy that because I'm going to need it in a minute. And then go ahead and roll those changes forward and then do this other one as well. So this sketch was probably, let's see, it's going to be this one. There it is, edit. And we'll paste that equation in right here. And now to make sure everything worked out properly, we're going to go back and change our original size. That's the D0. But instead of going back to the original sketch and doing it there, let's try a parametric equation option here. So if we filter on just those that have equations with them, we have D0 right here. So let's just try to change this as it says right here. I guess I got to go in there and change that because there's no U in this equation. So let me pause the video and put a different value in there. Okay, and then we say it says A is equal to 8 there. So let's go ahead and change that to 8 right there. Oh, didn't like that. And we can put inches in there, obviously. And let's just see if it will roll things forward as we begin to make that sketch. Oh, we can even see that off to the side like that. And it looks like it just basically made it bigger in all respects. Um, I don't know about the arc. Yeah, I guess it made everything bigger. So if we go back down here and just put a 1 in there, see, okay, there is where the differences are going to be right there for sure. So the thickness of that height right there is something that wasn't parametric. So if we go in here and do something like 10, we'll notice this right here gets thinner and thinner. And if we did something like 50 and then zeroed in on that, we can see this right here is going to be really thin. So we want to we do want to leave it where the problem says to do that. That's 8 inches, zero in on it right here. And just for completeness, let's go in here and do promote all of these. Oops, wrong one. Promote all of these dimensions forward. We could go in like this, maybe select all of it, pull in those geometries. Oh, excuse me. Got that on camera. And so we could do all of these just to make sure everything is included, include them, but then you realize, well, we don't really need these right there. So you know what to do from here. Make sure you move these until they're visible. And also don't show as many digits as we need as are shown here. Just like this. All right, let me know if you get stuck on any of these parts here. And do remember to go in here and finish these, the cleanup of this process and making these dimensions that are on the back side come over to the front. Now, one way to do that is to extrude backwards instead of forward, or just give it a different view. Probably not like that one. Let's always leave it like this, but try to promote all of these dimensions toward the front if you can. All right, I will see you in the next video.